Okay, and our last day before break, we have 85 hundredths. Once again, I can write that as a percent, 85 hundredths, or 85%, and 85 hundredths. All three of these represent this concrete representation of 85 parts out of a whole that's been cut up into 100. The denominator is always the number that the whole has been cut up into. In this case, it's 100. But any fraction, the bottom number is the how many times the whole has been cut up into. Now we want to simplify this, and these are fun ones too. I like even numbers, but I also like numbers that are divisible by 5. And we know any number that ends in a 0 or 5 can be divided by 5. And looky dooky, I have the numerator and the denominator ending in numbers that I know are divisible by 5. So my brain is just going to, instead of listing out the factors, which you can, but the way my brain works is since I know they are both divisible by 5, I'm just going to divide it by 5 and see where it takes us. So 85 divided by 5 is 17, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. Now 17, I know, I have a little cheat sheet over here, I know is prime, so this is in its simplest form. So 17/20ths is the same value as 85 hundredths. And if you want to make sure, let's see. Remember, 17 divided by 20. I'll write it over here. 17/20ths. That all fractions are a division problem. Can you see the division sign in a fraction? Can you see that? Bet you didn't know that. So look, when you see percent, a percent and division, they mean the same thing. Isn't that amazing? So let's take this. Let's find out. Let's divide 17 divided by 20. So we take 17 divided by 20. Now 20 can't go into 17, so I have to cut 17 up into 100 pieces. Well, how do I cut up a number like 17 into 100 pieces? Well, I put my decimal point and I put 2 place values to the right, which means it's now in the hundredths place value. There, now I have 100 pieces of 17. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now you can see also where my decimal point comes from. Now, does 20 go into 17? That would be a no and a no. My decimal point, whenever I divide by a number into a decimal point, the decimal point comes straight up to keep its placeholder. Now, how many times does 20 go into 170? Oh, that would be 8 times. See where I'm going with this? 8 times 0 is 0, and 8 times 2 is 16. Subtract, I get 10, but I still have one place value that I have to bring down, which is 100. How many times does 20 go into 100? You guessed it right, it is 5. So you can see how a percent mathematically, when we do the math of 85 divided by 100 or 17 divided by 20, it will always give us the decimal, which then to change a decimal to a percent, you just move the decimal point over 2 spaces to the right and write it as a percent. This is a really cool, this is where I want you all to go. Right now we're doing it with 100, but eventually I want you to be able to find percents from any fraction. And it is so much fun finding percents, fractions, and decimals. It's like a winter wonder fest, just finding percents.